Name me one other actor, just one, who has climbed the world's tallest building, jumped out of a plane 106 times, hung off an actual military aircraft at takeoff, and rode a motorcycle off a cliff for a movie. You can't. Because there is only one. And today on Cine-Authority, we are ranking every Tom Cruise action movie from worst to best, and by the time we reach number 1, you are going to understand why this man is in a category completely by himself. Let's go! Kicking off our list at number 10, Edge of Tomorrow. And before you say anything, yes, I know you didn't watch this in cinemas. Almost nobody did. And that is one of the great crimes in modern movie history. Tom Cruise plays a cowardly military PR officer who gets thrown into an alien invasion he has absolutely no business being in, and then gets forced to relive the same battle over and over every time he dies. It is Groundhog Day with exosuits and alien monsters. It is brilliant. Cruise playing a coward, playing someone weak, someone panicking, someone completely out of their depth, is something we almost never get to see. And he is phenomenal at it. Every death, every reset, every moment of desperate growth feels earned. Edge of Tomorrow is the most underrated action sci-fi film of the last 20 years. If you haven't watched it, stop this video right now and go watch it. Then come back. Number 10, but only because the films above it are extraordinary. At number 9, Jack Reacher. And this one is for people who like their action cold, precise, and completely without mercy. Cruise plays Jack Reacher, a former military investigator who lives off the grid, has no address, no phone, no attachments, and an almost supernatural ability to dismantle people who deserve it. This is Cruise completely against type. No charm. No charisma. No grinning under pressure. Just a man who is better at everything than everyone around him, and who has zero interest in making you comfortable about that fact. The alley fight scene, outnumbered, no weapons, just brutal efficiency, is one of the most satisfying action sequences Cruise has ever filmed. Jack Reacher deserved a much bigger franchise than it got. Hollywood slept on this one badly. Number 8, the original. Mission: Impossible, 1996. The film that started one of the greatest action franchises in cinema history. Brian De Palma took a 1960s TV show and turned it into a sophisticated, paranoid spy thriller, and at the center of it was a 33-year-old Tom Cruise who was about to prove he could carry a franchise on his back indefinitely. The CIA vault scene. Complete silence. A single bead of sweat. A laptop held millimeters from the floor. No music. No dialogue. Just pure, suffocating tension for 4 of the most gripping minutes in action cinema. Nearly 30 years later, that scene still works. That is timeless filmmaking. Mission: Impossible at number 8, the foundation everything else was built on. At number 7, Mission: Impossible Ghost Protocol. And this is the film where the franchise stopped being great and became legendary. The Burj Khalifa. The tallest building on Earth. 828 meters of glass and steel rising out of the Dubai desert. Tom Cruise climbed it. The outside of it. With faulty suction gloves. In real life. No CGI. No safety net visible to the camera. Just a man, a glass wall, and a drop that would kill him instantly if anything went wrong. When you watch that sequence and feel vertigo, that feeling is real. Because what you're watching is real. Ghost Protocol also gave us one of the franchise's most entertaining ensemble casts and a finale set inside an automated parking tower that is genuinely one of the most creative action climaxes ever designed. Number 7, in the moment Ethan Hunt became truly immortal. Number 6, Top Gun. 1986, and I want you to understand something clearly before we go any further. Without this film, there is no Tom Cruise action career. There is no Mission: Impossible franchise. There is no Maverick, no Fallout, no Dead Reckoning. None of it exists without Top Gun. Pete Maverick Mitchell made Tom Cruise one of the biggest movie stars on the planet overnight. The leather jacket, the aviators, the reckless confidence, the grin, it became the template for an entire generation of action heroes. The aerial footage was genuinely dangerous to capture. The soundtrack is iconic. The energy is pure, uncut 1980s cinema at its absolute peak. Does it hold up against the technical achievements of later films? No. But it doesn't need to. Top Gun isn't just a film. It's the origin story. At number 5, the sequel that did the impossible. Top Gun: Maverick. 36 years after the original. A franchise sequel that nobody was asking for. And it made $1.5 billion at the box office and became one of the most beloved action films of the century. How? Because Tom Cruise refused to compromise. No green screen. Real F-18s. Real pilots. Real G-forces. The cast trained for months just to survive the filming. Miles Teller said his vision went gray during filming from the G-force. Jennifer Connelly said Cruise was the most prepared human being she had ever met in her life. Maverick is what happens when a filmmaker and a star care so much about their audience that they are willing to physically suffer to give them something real. Something no CGI could ever replicate. Top Gun: Maverick at number 5. A masterpiece that arrived 36 years late and was absolutely worth the wait. Number 4, Rogue Nation. And this is where I need to talk about something that never gets enough attention. Tom Cruise held his breath for 6 minutes underwater for this film. 6 minutes. The average person lasts about 70 seconds. He trained with freedivers for months. He did the underwater server room sequence in one continuous take, a 6-minute shot with no cuts, no oxygen, and no margin for error. And before that, before we even get to the underwater scene, he hung off the side of an Airbus A400M military transport aircraft as it took off from a runway. A real plane. Real takeoff speed. Real altitude. Rogue Nation also introduced Rebecca Ferguson as Ilsa Faust, arguably the greatest character addition to the franchise since it began, and delivered a villain in Solomon Lane who was genuinely menacing in a way few MI villains have managed. Number 4. And the underwater scene alone justifies this placement. At number 3, and I already know half of you are furious, Mission Impossible 2. Yes. Number 3. Come argue with me in the comments. MI2 is the most divisive film in this entire franchise. Some people think it's the worst one. Some people, myself included, think it is a John Woo masterwork that gets unfairly dismissed because it dared to be completely different from everything around it. John Woo doesn't make action films. He makes action operas. Slow-motion doves. Dual pistols. Motorcycle jousting at 100 miles per hour. A hero and villain who are mirror images of each other, locked in a final confrontation so theatrical it borders on dance. Is it grounded? Absolutely not. Is it realistic? Not even slightly. But is it one of the most visually spectacular action films ever made by one of the genre's greatest directors? Yes. Without question. MI2 at number 3. If you disagree, and I know you do, tell me why in the comments. I want that debate. At number 2, Dead Reckoning Part 1. And I need you to understand what Tom Cruise actually did for this film. He rode a motorcycle off the edge of a cliff in Norway. And then base jumped onto a moving train. In real life. Not CGI. Not a stunt double. Tom Cruise, age 60, rode a motorcycle off a cliff and jumped out of the sky onto a train. He trained for 2 years. He did 500 skydives and 13,000 motorcycle runs to prepare for a single stunt that lasted approximately 8 seconds on screen. Director Christopher McQuarrie called it the most dangerous stunt ever attempted in the history of cinema. Insurance companies refused to cover it. Studios tried to stop it. Cruise did it anyway. Dead Reckoning Part 1 is also a genuinely brilliant thriller, a story about an AI with no allegiance to any human value, and the one man reckless enough to go after it alone. The Venice car chase sequence is hilarious and thrilling simultaneously. The train finale is one of the most sustained action climaxes in recent memory. Number 2. And the only reason it isn't number 1 is because number 1 is something else entirely. And the greatest Tom Cruise action film ever made is Mission Impossible Fallout. I know some of you are saying Dead Reckoning. I know some of you are saying Maverick. And those are valid arguments. But here's why Fallout sits alone at the top. The Halo jump. A military high-altitude low-opening skydive through a lightning storm over Paris. Tom Cruise did it 106 times. 106 jumps from a plane at 25,000 feet, because director Christopher McQuarrie needed exactly the right shot of Paris through the clouds at exactly the right light. 106 times. And that is not even the best sequence in the film. The Paris motorcycle chase through oncoming traffic. The bathroom fight scene, 3 minutes, no cuts, pure brutal choreography that redefined hand-to-hand combat in action cinema. And then the helicopter chase over the Norwegian mountains, Cruise learning to fly helicopters for real, performing his own aerial stunts, executing a two-helicopter pursuit through mountain valleys that remains the single greatest action finale of the modern era. Fallout is 2.5 hours of escalating perfection. Every single action sequence is better than the last. It does not slow down. It does not breathe. It is relentless, and it is brilliant, and it is the work of a man who has spent his entire career building toward a single definitive statement. This is that statement. Mission Impossible: Fallout is not just the greatest Tom Cruise film. It is one of the greatest action films ever made. Full stop. That is Cine-Authority's definitive ranking of every Tom Cruise action film. Now, the floor is yours. Do you agree with Fallout at number 1? Is Dead Reckoning better? Does Maverick deserve higher? And am I completely insane for putting MI2 at number 3? Drop your personal Tom Cruise top 3 in the comments right now. I read every single one, and I want to know exactly where you think I got this wrong. If you're new to Cine-Authority, we do this every single week. Rankings, debates, deep dives into the greatest films ever made. Subscribe and join the conversation. Next week, we are ranking every action movie villain of all time. And trust me, that list is going to start even more arguments than this one. I'm Cine-Authority. Until the next ranking, stay obsessed with cinema.